Welcome to chess, ladies and gentlemen. All right, man, I appreciate you guys very much for stopping by. This is my fishing shirt. Got my little lures on it. You see the little action. I'm going to go fishing one day, man. But as you guys know, we have the St. Louis Rapid and Blitz going on right now. So we do have the Blitz portion, and this is round number 9. Game between Wesley So and Uzbek Abdusattorov. So, of course, all my people in the Philippines, I will say Merming Salamat. All of my people that are coming from Uzbekistan, I will say Rahmat. But if you guys are ready to go, son, let's take a look and see what we got for this game, man. All right, so we got the move C4, so we start off with an English opening. This is a very highly transposable opening also, so, you know, you can get into, like, Queen's Gambits and, you know, pretty much a lot of D4 openings as well. But we do see E6, we got G3. Knight goes to F6, Bishop to G2. We do see D5. So you kind of see, like, the D4-ish kind of coming up. So if we did see D4 in this position, but we don't, we see Knight to F3. And we actually have a Neo-Catalan defense. And Black has an option in this position. They can just continue to develop and try to encourage a D4 opening to come up. Or they can kind of take it into different waters. And so that is what we see Abdusattorov do. He does play the move D4. And Black is really trying to cramp down on what White has going on already. They have prevented the move D4 from White. So D3 is pretty much going to be your only option to play. So we do see that right now. We got the move C5. So like I said, you can see that, you know, Black kind of has a little bit of a clamp going on in the position. White got to do something. So we do see the move E4, and then we actually see Knight going to C6 from Uzbek. Now, some of you guys might be wondering, well, once you see E4, basically what White is trying to do is kind of like get a bunch of space and not be so cramped. But can I just capture here and just kind of negate their pawn? You can, but it is not as good of a variation. If you were to see pawn takes E3 en passant, you would be looking at bishop taking E3, and you've actually kind of just helped White a little bit more than doing what we saw Uzbek do. D4 is going to be coming. I mean, you can do it soon. You can like wait a little while and do it. You are good to go because you do have the E5 square covered from this knight. So you can see that White is in a little bit of a better position with that. So that is why we see Knight to C6. And it also does influence the E5 square. So basically E5 from Black is on tap. But we see E5 from the White side first. And we are actually going to kind of get into like a French-like structure. We got Knight back to D7. And then Queen goes to E2. For those of you that do play the French, I'll kind of flip the board real quick. It should look kind of somewhat familiar. You know, you develop Knight here. You kind of go back here. You're pressing a lot on this E5 square. And you see that White is trying to basically make sure they hold it down. If you're going to pick a pawn as White to protect, it is this pawn. Absolutely. We do see Bishop to E7. We do see H4. Rook slides over to B8. You know, you kind of need to get some space. If you're Black, just get some more space. So the queen side is obviously going to be the best place to do that because you're probably going to be castling king side. We do see castles by White. We got A6. We do see bishop to G5. And then that is the novelty of the game. It's not a bad move by any means. We do actually see the move B5 in the game. Now, backing up, you guys are probably doing some calculation here. You're thinking, okay, wait a minute. This E5 pawn is only held by this knight, and I'm double hitting it right here. Can't I just accept, or can I just take here? Is that a bad thing? It's not a bad thing, but it actually does give White a little bit of play. If we were to see bishop taking G5 here, you would be looking at knight taking G5. And then after you did get this grand glorious pawn on E5, you would be looking at F4. And then after you move the knight back, you would be looking at F5. And the problem is White is really positioned to kind of start ripping the position open. You know, they do kind of want to do something like this. They'll bring their rook to life. So you've actually really just kind of given you know, White just a little bit too much. And they are going to get their pawn back. So like I said, we did see the move B5, chipping away at what little support White has for their structure over here. So we do see Knight B to D2 covering C4. We do see castles by Black. We got the move B3 just reinforcing. So we know that pretty much E5 is taken care of in this particular situation. So we're just trying to say, hey, man, I'm trying to hold my other pawns. So you see that White is kind of, you know, making moves to really just kind of hold their structure in place. We do see bishop going to B7. A rook F goes to E1. Like I said, you got to support that E5 pawn, bro. The knight goes down to B4. We do see knight down to F1. you know, we were somewhat lightly threatening this fork right here, which is not pleasant. So we go ahead and just take care of that with knight to f1. Queen is laterally defending. We do see pawn taking c4, pawn taking c4, bishop taking f3, and then we do see bishop taking f3. And we have taken the knight off the board for white. So we have actually reached a position. There is a killer move that black has at their disposal. If you do want to pause the video and try to guess that move, go ahead and do so. Okay, so for those of you that said bishop takes g5, you failed. No, I'm playing. That's actually one of the moves. But this move is crazy because either variation, you're going to actually have to give up a piece. But it just kind of depends what damage can you cause to white when you do give that piece up. What we actually saw in the game, and this isn't the move that I'm looking for, is bishop takes g5. And that is what Novelty did do. And we will get into that in a minute and show you the differences. But the move that I'm actually looking for is knight takes e5. Now, you're probably wondering, why would I do knight takes e5, bro? That's like super protected, right? Well, the thing about it is you're going to be getting a lot of material in return if you do that. Of course, you don't really want to take here because it is going to fork your queen and your rook, but there's really nothing better to do. So we would be seeing that the knight would take here. You are forking the queen and the rook. The queen would retreat somewhere. You got knight taking e1, a rook taking e1, bishop taking, pawn taking, and then queen taking. And you do have an extra piece for the white side, but look at all these pawns you have on the black side of the board. You have 7 to white's 4. So you have complete full compensation for the piece. Also, you do have both rooks and white only has 1. So it is actually quite a bit favorable for black. It's a very, imbalanced position. So it's kind of anybody's game at this point, though. But like I said, going back in the game, after we saw bishop takes f3, we did see bishop taking g5. And after we pretty much kind of get into the similar situation, pawn takes, queen takes, we do see a3, knight takes, and then queen takes like this. If you notice, after we see this, knight taking, and then this taking, we do have a very similar position. The major difference is white does have both of their rooks in this position. They're down the exact same amount of pawns, but this is just a little bit poor of a way to go into that game, and this actually flips the favor in white's side. So it is a little bit harder to play if you are on the black side of the pieces. But both of them, I think, from a human perspective, they're both very similar because, I mean, it's fairly even with the exception of, like I said, the rook, but they're both very imbalanced positions, and generally humans don't play imbalanced positions the best. Computers do it great. But we do see the move h5 just creating some future luft. We do see queen f4, pawn takes, pawn takes. Now, you can see this in action. White feels like they are in a better position. They do have extra material as far as the minor pieces are concerned. So they're like, hey, man, let's go into these trades. Get queens off the board. Let's try to get rooks off the board. Let's try to do the whole 9, right? So queen takes, we got pawn taking. We do see the move d3. Rook a to b1, encouraging further trades. Obviously, like I'm telling you guys, if you have more trades going on in this position, you're just going to be down an entire piece for no reason. So we do see king going to h7, king going up to g2, king to g6. We got king to f3. We do see the move a5. We got knight to d2, trying to blockade the pawn. We do see a4, and this does allow a rook to go to b5. You really don't too much want to trade here because, number one, you're going to be trading down. Number two, you're going to be giving white a pass pawn, which they're just going to put their rook behind and probably work their knight up somewhere like this and force your rook away. So we do see black going rook f to d8, just holding this pawn on d3. We got rook taking c5, rook to b2. We got king sliding over to e3, protecting the knight. We don't really want to just drop the knight for no reason because then black is going to be completely winning. We got rook to a2. We do see rook going over to h1. Rook takes a3. We do see rook c taking h5. We got the move f6. There was a little bit of play with knight coming up here like this and kind of trapping, black's king with a move like that. So, we kind of want to be careful about that type of stuff. We do see the f6, like I said. We got rook to a5, rook to d7. We do see rook to c1. I mean, what better place in the position to put this rook than behind this pawn that wants to score a touchdown and do the touchdown dance, right? So we do see rook going to a2. We got rook up to c3, encouraging probably a future other trade going on, going like this. We do see rook down to a1. We got the move c5 because, like I said, we're gonna score a touchdown and do the touchdown dance, and we're gonna call it a day. Novelty doesn't want to win anyway, right? Exactly. We got rook to e1 with check. King goes over to f3. We do see the rook going to d1, attacking our knight again. And then we do have the move c6, which is a really beautiful in-between move. We're not really worried about this knight if we can get this rook and a queen. So we got the rook having to step to c7. We got the king sliding over to e3. We have just moved the rook away from the protection of this pawn. So this pawn will be dropping very soon. We got rook to h1, rook takes a4, we got king to f5, we got king taking d3, we got the move e5. But I mean, this really just kind of does more for white than it does for anybody because we are now fixing our pawn structure. Pawn takes, we got pawn taking, we do see the move f3. And you see that like as the game has gone on, I mean, white is just pretty much just getting in a better and better position. And they're just up an entire pawn. Or I mean, not an entire pawn, an entire piece. We do see the move g5. Rook goes up to c5, pinning it and winning it. Rook goes to h6. We do see rook to e4, and then we are just in time to cover on e6. But something is going to have to give. Rook e to c4. We do see rook going over to h6. We do see king sliding over to e3. We got the rook down to h1. Rook goes to e4, renewing the threat that we had a second ago. We do see king going up to f6. We got rook e taking e5. We do see a rook going to e1 with check. We do see king sliding up to d4. You know, we don't really just want to hang our rooks because we're just going to be losing the game, and that's not how we have fun. We do see rook going to d1. The king goes down to d3. Rook takes c6. We got rook going over to f5 with check. The king slides over. We got rook c going to e5 with check. The king slides over like that. We do see king going down to e2. We got rook c to c1. We got rook taking g5. We're not worried about this check because we're just going to be okay right here with this rook taking the other rook, and we're still up a piece. We got king going down to d6, rook to d5 with check. We do see king sliding over to c6, rook to c5 with check. And it is in this position that Abdusattorov resigns the game. Now, I think it would be beneficial for me to go a little bit further in this position because I think some of you might be thinking, wait a minute. Okay, well, how is this over? I mean, yeah, you're up a piece for white, but I mean, you're just about to give up both your rooks, right? Like how is that winning? Well, I mean, we can go into this endgame. So we're going to be trading down rooks like so. You're going to be taking this rook on e1. And I'm just kind of speed through these moves because, I mean, it's basically, not lack of a better way, but to try to simplify the situation, it's basically a king and a pawn versus a king endgame, and you're just kind of tossing a knight in there. So it's completely winnable. You have a lot of reserve tempi to use at your disposal because this knight can jump and just waste however many moves you need. So it is a very favorable endgame for white. So just clicking through some of the moves, basically what you're wanting to do is get this pawn all the way to score a touchdown. You're going to try to force the black king away from the protection of this square. And you're just going to basically be wasting a move with this knight. So just kind of going forward with what that would look like. We would be making a lot of progress going forward. We're just going to constantly be forcing the king back and back. You're going to want to retreat. So this is instructive here, though. Whenever you are in front of a pawn like this and you're having to give way, you generally want to try to give way directly back in front of the pawn. You don't really usually want to move to either side because the king will take the opposition from you and you're going to be, in a situation where you're going to have to move away. So, this is instructive, like I said, to go back king to f7. Like I said, you're just going knight to e4. And I mean, it doesn't really matter what black does because you're always going to be able to at least waste a move with the knight and always get into the favorable position that you want to get into. We do see king going back to f8. We got f6. Just fast forwarding a little bit. Like I said, we're getting it, wasting a move with the knight. The king goes up. Now we do take the beneficial position. We do see king going over to e8. So this is basically Abdusattorov making sure that he resists for as long as possible. We got the king stepping over to f8. And normally this is a stalemate position because you're going to have to go to f6, which creates a stalemate. Or, I mean, you just literally go away and just drop your pawn, and that's a stalemate. That's a draw also. But we do have this knight, like I said, so you don't have to move your king. So we do have knight going to e4. We got the king going down, and then we have a position where you're in a mating net. We do see the queening. We got king to h7. We got queen checking, king to g7, queen checking again, king to h8, queen checking again, king to g8. And then we have knight to f6, and this is checkmate. Now, it can happen like 1,000 different other ways other than that. But that is generally what you would see if these guys played the game out. So that is why going all the way back to this position here, Noterbeck understood that this is a completely lost end game. I mean, they're good enough in end games to know this. So I appreciate everybody very much for stopping by. All of my people from the Philippines, I will say maraming salamat na king magkaibigan po sa nanonood inga king ma video. Mabuhay, kumusta na? Magandang umaga, magandang hapon, magandang gabi, magandang araw, whatever time of day it is for you. And anybody who is coming up from Uzbekistan, I will say yashimzis. I appreciate you guys very much, and I'm going to see y'all next time.